When does she actually start missing you? Not the fake missing, not the "I'm just bored" missing. I'm talking about the deep, soul-shaking realization that you mattered more than she admitted, even to herself. It doesn't happen right away. Not when you text, not when you chase. It happens when you disappear with dignity, when you become scarce, calm, and unbothered. Let's break it down. The 11 subtle moments when she starts to miss you. For real. Number 1. The silence after the storm. Right after the breakup or distance, emotions run high. But the moment everything quiets down, your silence, your detachment, becomes louder than any words. That's when the first seed of missing you is planted. Because during the storm, it's easy to get lost in the noise. The arguments, the tension, the flood of words that often mean less than the silence that follows. She might have said things in the heat of the moment, and so did you. But now that you're not replying, not reacting, not explaining or defending yourself, that quiet becomes something she can't ignore. At first, she might convince herself it's for the best. We both need space, she tells herself. But the silence you maintain isn't just space. It's intention. You're not sitting around, waiting. You're not sending long messages at midnight. You're not watching her stories, hoping for a sign. You've chosen stillness. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to hold it. Imagine this. She opens her phone expecting to see your name. A message, a missed call, something. But there's nothing. Not even a like. Days turn into a week. And slowly, that absence grows heavier. What she once took for granted, your presence, your attention, your energy, is gone. And in its place is silence. That's when she starts to notice what's missing. Not just your voice, but your calm. Your ability to center her when everything felt chaotic. Your presence that didn't demand, didn't need to prove itself, but simply was. She scrolls through old messages, listens to a song you both shared, laughs at a memory, and then realizes she's laughing alone. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." That's exactly what happens in this silence. It's not your absence that hurts her. It's her realization of what your absence means. It means you're no longer waiting. You've chosen peace over persuasion, self-respect over validation. It tells her that you are no longer available for confusion, that you don't need to convince someone to value you, that you've taken everything she overlooked, and instead of demanding attention, you placed it all back into yourself. This is the part where reflection begins. Not just for her, but for you too. You start to see how powerful your calm can be. That not reacting doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about yourself more than drama, more than chasing, more than playing into the idea that love has to be chaotic to be real. So if you're in that silence right now, don't rush to break it. Let it breathe. Let her feel it. Let her sit with the echo of everything she thought would always be there. Because when the storm passes and the noise is gone, what remains is truth. And the truth is, sometimes the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all. And now, before we move on to the next insight, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced that kind of silence, the one that wasn't about punishment, but about peace? The silence that came not from anger, but from finally valuing yourself enough to walk away without noise? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Or, if you've ever chosen calm over chaos, just leave this sentence. My silence wasn't empty. It was full of strength. I'll be reading through them, and I know others in this community will find strength in your story too. Number 2. When her routine feels empty. The little habits, texts, calls, shared memes disappear. She notices the empty space where your presence used to live. It's not loss she feels first, it's the weight of absence, and it creeps in quietly. When she unlocks her phone and realizes there's no notification from you. When she watches something funny and instinctively reaches to send it, only to pause, remembering the silence. It's not about missing you at first. It's about missing how she felt when you were part of her everyday rhythm. You became a comforting presence in the background of her life, until you weren't. Now she scrolls, hoping to feel something, but it doesn't hit the same, because no one else occupies that space like you did. Your absence isn't loud, but it's felt, like the stillness after a familiar song ends. She starts to realize that connection isn't always about big moments. It's about consistent presence. And when that's gone, even the smallest parts of her day start to feel off, empty. Here's the truth. You're not the one who's lost. You simply removed yourself from where you weren't fully valued. That's not revenge. That's self-respect. And this is where the Stoic in you shines. You didn't rush back to fill the void. You didn't send a follow-up text out of loneliness. You chose stillness over neediness. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgment about them." She judged your presence as certain until it became uncertain. And now she sits with that. Maybe she doesn't say it out loud. Maybe pride keeps her from reaching out. But inside, her routine, once filled with your energy, feels colder. Because that rhythm she once took for granted, it wasn't just habit. It was you. Let her feel that emptiness. Not because you want her to suffer, but because you're no longer willing to be a background character in someone else's story. Your silence is not an absence of care. It's the presence of discipline. And when she finally realizes what she lost, she won't just miss the man. She'll miss the version of herself that felt better simply by having you in her daily life. Number 3. When other men don't measure up. She meets others, but something's missing. The emotional depth, the calm presence, the way you held space. They try to impress her, but you left an imprint. See, it's easy for her to meet men who talk loud, buy drinks, crack jokes, and flood her with attention. But over time, she starts to feel it, that emptiness behind all the effort. Because what they bring is noise, not presence. You didn't chase validation. You didn't try to win her over. You showed up fully, calmly, without needing to be the center of attention. And that contrast is what lingers. Maybe she's on a date now with someone new. He's saying all the right things, trying to be charming, but she finds herself zoning out, comparing. Not on purpose, but because her body remembers. It remembers how safe she felt when you were around, how you didn't rush to fill silences, how your stillness made her feel grounded, not anxious. That's not something another man can easily copy, because it wasn't a tactic. It was your essence. Stoicism teaches us not to compete, not to grasp, not to need the world's approval to know our value. As Marcus Aurelius put it, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That's what you did. You weren't trying to outshine anyone. You just chose to be rooted in self-awareness, integrity, and calm strength. And now, no matter how many men try to impress her, she can't help but sense the difference. The truth is, some men try to stand out by performing. But a rare man stands out by being at peace. When other men don't measure up, it's not because you're competing. It's because she's finally recognizing what true presence feels like. And once she's felt that, everything else starts to feel shallow, temporary, forgettable. Number 4. The mirror moment. One day, she looks at herself differently, reflecting not just on you, but who she was when she was with you, and how she hasn't felt that version of herself since. It's subtle at first. Maybe she's brushing her hair in the mirror, or putting on a song that once played in your car. But suddenly, it hits. Not just the memory of you, but the memory of her, the woman she was around you, the softness she allowed herself to feel, the way she laughed without restraint, the ease in her eyes when she knew she was safe, seen, and valued. And now? That reflection doesn't quite match. She may be surrounded by noise, new people, new distractions, but that version of herself doesn't surface anymore. Because it wasn't just about how you treated her. It was about what you brought out in her. Calm, clarity, the feeling that she could exhale around you. That's what she misses. Not just the man, but the mirror you unknowingly held up to her highest self. Here's the thing, though. You never forced her to be that way. You didn't perform. You didn't manipulate. You were steady in your values, present, but never possessive. You held space with quiet strength. And that space allowed her to become more of who she wanted to be, not less. There's a line from Epictetus that rings true here. Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. You didn't lose yourself trying to win her. You knew who you were, and in that knowing, you invited her to meet you at your level, not by demand, but by energy. And now, without your presence, that emotional mirror is gone. She's still there? Yes. But the clarity isn't. And that's what reflection does. It makes us compare who we are now to who we were when we felt most aligned, most alive, most at peace. So when that mirror moment comes, when she sees the gap between her current self and the one she was with you, it creates a quiet ripple, not just of missing you, but of missing herself around you. And that kind of missing? It lingers far longer than attraction, because it's not about ego, it's about identity. You left a mark not by trying to change her, but by remaining unchanged in your own purpose. That's the difference between impact and attachment. One fades with time, the other reflects back unexpectedly. In mirrors, in memories, in moments she never thought would carry so much weight. And this is where I want you to pause, not just to process her reflection, but to reflect on your own. Because while she may be searching for the version of herself that felt most alive beside you, you've been evolving too. You've become the man who didn't just hold space, but who honors his own space now more than ever. That's powerful. That's rare. And maybe you've experienced this in your own life, when someone came into your world and brought out something real in you, only to later realize it was your own grounded presence that created the connection in the first place. So, I want to hear from you. What did your mirror moment look like? Or if you want to keep it simple, just drop this in the comments. It wasn't just about her, it was who I became around her. Because sometimes, the strongest reminder of your worth is found not in who misses you, but in who you've become without them. Number 5. When you stop watching. You used to view her stories, like her posts, maybe even send the occasional reply, quick, present, familiar. To her, it was reassurance, proof that she still lived in your thoughts, that a piece of you still lingered in her orbit. But now? Silence. No likes, no views, no reactions. That shift isn't loud, but it's deeply felt. Because here's the truth. It's not the arguments that leave the strongest impression. It's your absence in the places she expected you most. And this silence, It's not bitter. It's intentional. When a man reclaims his focus, when he no longer watches from the sidelines of someone else's life, he returns to the only thing he can truly control: himself. That's where your power sharpens. She checks her story views, thinking your name will still be there. And when it's not, there's a pause. That subtle anxiety of, "Why isn't he watching?" starts to echo. Because she didn't just lose your attention, she lost your energy. Stoically speaking, attention is currency. And you, as a grounded man, no longer spend it on what doesn't serve your peace. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." And that's what's shifting here. Not just your actions, but your estimation. You're no longer impressed by surface validation. You've elevated your standards, quietly, without the need to announce it. Let her wonder. Let her feel the difference. This isn't about punishing her. It's about respecting yourself enough not to feed a connection that no longer feeds you. When you stop watching, you stop giving her the stage she was performing on. And in that pause, in that withdrawal, she begins to notice what your quiet presence used to hold: depth, intention, stability. So ask yourself, where are you placing your attention these days? Is it on someone else's curated life, or on building your own with strength, clarity, and presence? Because the moment you stop watching her is the moment she starts watching you. Number 6. When she remembers the calm, life gets chaotic. Work stress, shallow interactions, distractions. And then it hits her. Your calm was her safe space. Not just the way you spoke, but the energy you carried. You weren't loud. You weren't emotionally chaotic. You didn't rush to fix everything. Yet your presence made her feel like everything was under control. She starts to notice it in contrast. Maybe it's when she's around someone new who talks too much, tries too hard, reacts to every little thing. Maybe it's when she opens up to someone and realizes they're more interested in giving advice than actually listening. That's when the memory of you creeps in. Not because you said all the right words, but because you didn't need to. You were centered, grounded, stoic, not in a cold, unfeeling way, but in a steady, reassuring one. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." And that's the difference. You brought that internal stillness into the space between you and her. And now, in the middle of the noise and pressure of her everyday life, she remembers what it felt like to be in the presence of someone who wasn't trying to impress, just being. The truth is, she didn't just miss a man. She missed what you represented: peace, strength without force. A reminder that calm is magnetic, especially in a world that glorifies overstimulation and speed. And here's the part she never expected, that the man she once saw as too calm, too reserved, or even too quiet, would later become the standard she quietly measures others against. Because chaos might be exciting, but calm is what feels like home. Your calm was never about being passive. It was about having control, not over her, but over yourself. And now, when life feels unbalanced, she doesn't just think of you. She feels the absence of that serenity you carried without effort. That's the mark of a man who lives with intention. You didn't just share moments, you shaped how she experiences safety. And now, without you, she realizes the world is loud, but you were peace. Number 7. The emotional trigger. A song, a place, a scent. Suddenly, memories flood in. She doesn't control when it happens, but when it does, the emotional weight is undeniable. Maybe it's the cafe you both used to visit, the one tucked away on a quiet corner where laughter felt natural and time moved slower. Or it's that one track that randomly plays on shuffle, the one she once said reminded her of you. In that split second, her world pauses. Not because she wants to feel it, but because she can't help but feel it. You see, that's the thing about emotional triggers. They bypass logic. They don't ask for permission. They strike quietly, catching her off guard while she's scrolling, driving, or pretending to be fine. And when they hit, it's not just the memory of you, it's how she felt when she was around you. Safe, seen, grounded. Here's where Stoicism subtly steps in. Not with cold detachment, but with presence. You never tried to possess the moment or hold on to it out of fear. You simply showed up fully, like a man who knew that time was a gift, not a guarantee. And because you were so deeply rooted in the present, those moments had depth. They weren't just passing experiences, they left imprints. And now, long after you've stepped away with calm dignity, it's not your face she remembers. It's your presence, that calm certainty, that quiet strength. That way you made the space feel more still just by being in it. So if she finds herself staring at a photo or frozen in a memory triggered by something as small as a scent, it's not because she misses the past. It's because the past still echoes in the present. That's the paradox. You didn't try to leave a mark, but because you lived without clinging, you became unforgettable. And that's the kind of man Stoicism molds. Not loud, not desperate to be remembered, but deeply felt, especially in silence. Let that sink in for a second. The idea that your calm presence, lived fully in the moment, can leave a deeper mark than any grand gesture ever could. That's the unexpected power of emotional impact without attachment. And now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment like this, either from your side or someone else's? Drop your thoughts below, or just leave this sentence in the comments. It wasn't the memory of me. It was the feeling I brought with me. I'm curious to know what this stirred up in you. Let's keep the conversation going, because the next moment we're about to explore is one she never saw coming. Number 8. When you don't react. She posts something to get your attention. A subtle quote, a seductive photo, but you don't bite. That's when curiosity turns into confusion, then longing, because she expected the usual pattern, a quick like, a comment, a DM, maybe even a reaction that showed you still cared, still watched. But your silence? It says more than any words could. When you don't respond, she starts to wonder, did he not see it? Or worse, did he see it and not care? And here's where it shifts. What began as a power move on her end becomes an emotional question mark. Your stillness becomes presence. She thought she was in control of the narrative, but now you've taken it back by doing nothing at all. There's power in that. You're not ignoring her out of spite. You're simply not responding because it no longer serves your peace. You've learned to master the pause, to observe without needing to jump in. That's Stoicism in action. As Epictetus said, it's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. And your opinion now? You no longer chase breadcrumbs. Let her wonder. Let her feel that empty echo where your attention used to be. Because when a man no longer reacts, he becomes unpredictable. And when you're unpredictable, you become unforgettable. This isn't about punishing her. It's about protecting your energy. You don't play games. You've outgrown them. You're not proving anything. You're grounded. And the more she tries to pull a reaction from you without success, the more she feels the absence of your presence. And that presence used to mean something. So Stay still. Let the world make noise around you while you remain unmoved. That's not apathy. It's mastery. That's the difference between a man who reacts and a man who responds with silence, purpose, and self-respect. Number 9. The contrast kicks in. She starts to compare her current experiences versus what she had with you, the way you listened, the way you stayed composed, the way you didn't need validation. And it doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in slowly. Maybe she's sitting across the table from someone who talks too much and hears too little. Or maybe she's with a guy who's trying too hard, constantly seeking praise, fishing for approval with every word. That's when it hits her. With you, there was no need for theatrics, no pressure to impress or be impressed. You were calm, collected, present. And now, that contrast feels deafening. See, when a woman has experienced a man who is grounded, who doesn't flinch at silence, who doesn't need to prove anything, that energy leaves a mark. She might not have realized it while she had it, but now that it's gone and she's faced with surface-level noise, she starts to feel the void. The stillness you carried wasn't empty. It was full of strength. And now, that kind of presence feels rare. That's the power of being centered. Stoicism teaches us not to get pulled into chaos. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That's exactly what you embodied. You didn't chase validation. You created an emotional climate where she could be at ease, but never in control of your peace. And that's the difference she's noticing now. She thought more talk meant more connection. She thought more attention meant more care. But now, the excessive effort feels cheap, temporary, like a show. And suddenly, your calm presence, once overlooked, now feels like something she deeply underestimated. So when the contrast kicks in, it's not just about what's missing. It's about what she once had, and now realizes was rare. Number 10. When you've clearly leveled up, you've evolved. Your energy has shifted. She sees it through mutual friends, social media, or subtle glimpses. You look at peace, focused, unavailable. And it's not just about the new haircut, the gym results, or the way your presence now carries weight. It's the calm in your eyes, the unshakable stillness in how you move, that quiet confidence that says, "I no longer seek, because I've already found myself." You didn't post a dramatic announcement. You didn't throw your progress in her face. You just leveled up, silently, consistently. You stopped engaging with chaos and started investing in clarity. And now, when she checks your profile or hears your name in passing, there's a shift in her chest she didn't expect. A sting of realization. Not because you're gone, but because the man she once knew has outgrown the version of himself that used to orbit her world. She remembers how easily you forgave, how available you used to be. But now, there's a boundary she can feel even through the screen. You're not cold. You're composed. You're not distant out of spite. You've simply realigned your standards. So don't be surprised if the energy changes, if her tone softens, if her eyes linger a little longer when you cross paths. She's not just seeing you now. She's realizing what it means to lose someone who found peace without needing her closure. And if that hits her hard, let it. That's not your burden anymore. Your role isn't to go back and explain your glow-up. Your role is to keep evolving. For you. Number 11. When she realizes she can't access you anymore, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you've closed the door with dignity. And now, what she once took for granted feels unreachable. She used to feel it, that unspoken access, the ability to reach you with a text, to shift your focus with a subtle post, to pull you back into her world with a memory, a breadcrumb, a moment of softness. But not anymore. You're not cold. You're calm. You're not punishing. You're simply done offering what was once freely given. Maybe she reaches out with something casual. "Hey, hope you're well." Before, that would have been enough to reel you in. But now, you've outgrown the need to respond just to feel seen. You see yourself clearly. You're not waiting behind that emotional door anymore. You've locked it, not out of bitterness, but out of evolution. This shift isn't loud. It's not announced. It's felt in the silence, in the lack of reaction, in the fact that her usual ways no longer work. She starts to realize you're no longer emotionally available to be accessed like before. She can't feel your energy anymore. Not on her terms, not through her timing. And that quiet realization hits harder than any argument could. A bit of Stoicism here. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." You don't get even. You get better. You move forward. And in doing so, you become inaccessible not out of pride, but because your peace now sits where her chaos used to. She didn't expect the door to close gently. She didn't expect the version of you who once waited, hoped, or explained to disappear. But he did. Not with drama, but with grace. And that's what stays with her. Not the absence of communication, but the absence of availability. Now she can feel the boundary. The emotional gate that once swung open effortlessly is sealed by growth. You're no longer a man who entertains confusion. You've chosen clarity. And when a man moves like that, not to hurt, but to heal, his absence becomes unforgettable. You didn't end things with spite. You simply walked forward. And that distance? That's when she truly starts to miss you. Because she realizes the version of you she once had access to no longer exists. And that truth, that's what echoes the loudest. And there it is. The moment she truly starts missing you isn't when you disappear overnight. It's when you evolve quietly. When your presence stops showing up where she used to expect it, and your peace starts speaking louder than any words you ever said. It's not about playing games or making her suffer. It's about you stepping into your power, choosing growth over chasing, stillness over noise, self-respect over validation. And that shift, that's what she feels. That's when the missing begins. Not for the version of you she took for granted, but for the version she never saw coming. If there's one takeaway from today's video, it's this. Your absence only creates impact when it's backed by real inner change. So don't wait for her to notice. Let your life speak. Let your silence teach. And let your calm be the reminder of the man you've become. Now, I want to hear from you. Which moment do you think hits her the hardest? Drop your thoughts in the comments, or simply type, "She didn't expect the silence to echo this loud." If today's message spoke to you, if you got value from this, give it a like. It helps the message reach more people. And don't forget to check out the other videos on screen for more insights on self-growth, relationships, and silent strength. Until next time, stay grounded, stay focused, and protect your peace.